Welcome to Say a Prayer, guys. May Nigeria never happen to you. My name is Richie Adewusi. Um, these apologies are getting regular, following fast on the heels of themselves in terms of uh, coming online late. Technical issues. Apologies, guys. So today, it's another opportunity for us to look at ourselves in the mirror, look at the mirror, see what we uh, could find that most likely is going to be you, me, who find ourselves, who stand in front of the mirror. We're looking at ourselves. So today we are positioning another national institution, Nigerian national institution, before the mirror. And this time is the story surrounding the National Troupe of Nigeria, what it stands for, not what it stood for. It's still there. What it stands for, what it symbolizes, and what it should mean to Nigeria and all Nigerians. And maybe if there are lessons for us to learn from those moving forward. Okay. I'm not going to go into the history of the National Troupe of Nigeria because, as always, we have produced a video to give you a little background about what it was, what it's all about, who set it up, and why it was set up. And but here we're still on the quest for one Nigeria, and subsequently we'll move further in the quest. Hi guys on TikTok, thank you so much guys for joining. Thank you. We'll move forward by getting into a quest for a working Nigeria. Okay, so we're going to be rounding up the series on the quest for one Nigeria in a couple of episodes from now, and then we'll move on to the quest for a working Nigeria. I've been reading, I've been researching, and I kid you not, I've been shedding tears. And maybe to let you have an understanding of where those tears are coming from. Of course, from me, but what's instigating those tears? I'll recommend a YouTube channel to all of you listening to me now, to any one of you that's going to watch this video maybe later. It is called The History Veil. It's on YouTube, History Veil. Please search it out. Maybe like me, you will shed tears for Nigeria. You probably find out, like I have, that you said the whole issue of tribe, the whole issue of religion, the whole issue. Well, it's not that I just found that out. It's just that all of those documentaries just confirmed what I've known, what I've written about. I've written books. I told my Biafra story at the appropriate time. I will bring that story because for me, that is the biggest issue of Nigeria happening to me. And that, of course, must also be the biggest issue of Nigeria happening to any Nigerian and Nigeria. Yes, we'll get to that. But beneath all of those, people have been selfish. It's been about ego. It's been about me, I, me, myself, my way or the highway. It's been that. And it hasn't stopped. Several people, whether in the military uniform, whether in civilian agbada, it's been about building empires for themselves. Till date, it's been about creating their own dynasties. Till date. And then others who feel or felt shuffled out begin to scheme against them. And then they now remember that there are other people called Nigerians. That's the time they remember there's a Nigeria that are, well, general population, whether as in fellow Nigerians, or you are not my party, you're my party, you're not my tribe, you're my tribe, you're not my religion, you're my religion, all from some parochial, selfish motives. Even should we even really still be talking about parochialism now? Really? Because from what I found out in my reading and researching, for a while now, the crop of people that have been over the affairs of Nigeria have cashed in on that issue of parochialism in advancing their own individual selfish motives. So they play the religion card, play the tribe card, play the region card, play the resource control card to whip up sentiment, your sentiment, and you fall for it over and over and over and over. When are you going to stop? When are you going to know that people, when are you going to realize what they had realized a long time ago? That they are better off banding together as a cohort of looters, as a cohort of unpatriotic people who end up grasping the mantle of leadership one way or the other, whether through the barrels of the gun or through contrived elections that are no elections really. And they get there. They have studied themselves, they've studied their predecessors, they've studied the people. We'll get there. We'll get to those. So let me not get ahead of myself. So welcome today. In case you missed my name earlier, my name is Richie Adewusi. It hasn't changed, it won't change. Because we'll also get to that point. People who have to change their names, change where they come from, just to belong, just to get closer to the table and then take over at the head of the table. That's been the history of Nigeria. So today, we're still going to continue on the quest. Some people did some things. They had their own motives too. We'll come to all of those. But they shot. Sorry, I say they shot. Yeah, they shot. They did some things. They put some things in place. At least to let the rest of you now jump on and make something out of those things. And since they are the ones who put those things in place in the first place, you hold them accountable if any aspect of those things are not working the way they're supposed to work. But that hasn't been the case. Accountability or lack of it has been the bane of development in Nigeria. Yes. So, last time out with you here on the episode on JAMP, I said during that podcast, oh, I try so hard to remember the name of that woman. I try so hard, and I don't forget things really. I was like, why, how? And she was quite friendly and popular on campus, you know. So there was no way I wouldn't. I found her name. I remembered her name. I didn't ask anybody. I remembered. Then when I remembered her last name, then I went searching, and I found out that she just retired recently. And I wasn't surprised that she rose to become a registrar, the registrar of the University of Lagos. I wasn't surprised. And I'm glad that I didn't even remember her name. I didn't even know she had the opportunity of becoming Registrar of the University of Lagos when we were preparing for that edition of JAM, and what she did that day. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, please go to our YouTube channel, Nostalgiamedia. Go to the videos on Say Prayer Guys, May Nigeria Never Happen to You. Watch the episode on JAMB, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB in Nigeria. Her name is Mrs. Abegunde. Yes, remember that name. Ma'am, if anybody that knows you gets to see this video, gets it across to you, you are a gem. I don't flatter. Like I said, thank God I didn't even remember the name before we made that video. But I didn't give up. I'm like, no, this is important. But for Mrs. Abegunde, that admissions plaque would have maybe succeeded in making it possible or impossible for me to uh, attend the University of Lagos or go to the university at all that year, 1982. She had the commotion that was created by the admissions clerk insisting I needed to respond to her in Yoruba because she was speaking Yoruba before she could process my document, and I refused. Your name is Adewusi, so why would you not speak Yoruba? I'm sorry. And my father wouldn't even say to me, why wouldn't you not speak Yoruba? No, please, who are you? I didn't. Princess Abegunde had that commotion and came out. Please, guys, if you can, could you kindly just help me? I need to celebrate this. I know we're talking about the National Troupe of Nigeria today. I need to celebrate this woman. Nigeria needs to celebrate, Nigeria and all Nigerians need to celebrate such people. So if you may, guys, just, there's another fellow for another reason, but remember his face, remember his picture. No, when the time comes, we'll talk about him as well. Okay? So please, guys, if you may, could you help me put up the pictures of Mrs. Abegunde and this other fellow, please? Thank you. Thank you. We need to celebrate people who've done well. We also need to call out people who constitute themselves into clogs in the wheel of progress, the wheel of equity, fairness, justice, development. Mrs. Abegunde, God bless you. God bless you. God continue to bless you. God continue to bless people like you in public service who know the meaning of service. You see this other guy whose picture is up there you're looking at. Like I said, but remember the face, remember the name. We'll come to him. So we'll continue today with our focus, which is National Troupe of Nigeria. From the University of Lagos, like you already know, I went ahead to do my youth service, National Youth Service, NYSC, in old Sokoto State, northwest Nigeria, not east, not southwest, northwest Nigeria. at the end of my youth service, let me state here, I stated in passing and mentioned the name of, in that episode about my youth service, I mentioned Alhaji Ibrahim Idris, I mentioned Alhaji Matazu. Alhaji Ibrahim Idris, the owner, founder of the Bro Hotel Group, who also eventually became a two-time governor of Kogi State, North Central Nigeria, became a mentor, became a friend, took interest, offered me a job at the hotel when I finished service. But I thanked him, and he was surprised. And your friends, your mates are looking for a job here, and you are saying you don't. I told him nicely, Alaji, I want to write. And he said, well, this is a table. Sit there, you write everything, write anything you like from there. I didn't take the job because I made up my mind very early in life I was going to work for myself. It wasn't a decision that was. So when I left after service, returned south to Lagos, I started a magazine. Now we'll talk about that when we get to talk about a working Nigeria, the quest for a working Nigeria. Eventually, down the road over the years, Alhaji Ibrahim Idris visited me. Yes, visited me in my office in Lagos several years later. I will come to that, like I said, in another story, another episode. But why am I mentioning him here? Why am I mentioning matters here? There are still such people there. There are still such people at Sabek, but there will always be other people like that other fellow. I'm not talking about him, not like I said. I returned south. I went back to the University of Lagos to start the magazine I founded in protest. Yeah, you have your activists today, right? They have become politicians. They have become this, they have become that. Some of us get to do things that we do for any personal gains, really. And people don't understand it. Well, I don't expect them to. It doesn't matter, even right now. Some of my mates at the English department of University of Lagos, Faculty of Art, University of Lagos, returned to school to do their master's program. I returned and decided to found a magazine. But before I founded the magazine, I was always interested in the art, of course, writing art. During our undergraduate years, we founded about five of us, so founded Theater 15, invited other friends to join. And the very first meeting, full meeting that we had to discuss, formalize the meeting, there were 15 of us that in attendance at that meeting. That's how the name Theater 15 was arrived at. The person who was, we called him, what do we call him that time? Not director. The director was one of us, whoever. Anyway, he's a professor in that school now, University of Professor Hope. He's the one that facilitated that meeting, was the one that was mentoring and overseeing us that time at Delta 15. But as I was in Delta 15, I was also, after I graduated, of course, I didn't participate in Delta 15. I was too busy. I ended up at the Center for Cultural Studies, University of Lagos. There was no theater arts, there was no dramatic arts department or anything like that for study. It was just a research center. As I've said in a couple of my books, and which was one of the reasons why we founded Theater 15, then the University of Lagos was about the only university in the southwest of Nigeria that did not have a program for performing arts. And those of us who are, well, I would say creatively challenged, that was a problem. Even when we were not studying theater as it were, but we were writing, so we founded Theater 15. But at the completion of my national service, I returned to the University of Lagos again, yes, determined to do something about the profile or the painting of my generation by those before us. They labeled us as wasted generation, and I'm like, no, that can't be true. It's not possible. So this thing is not no be today. It's not now. It's not, this didn't start today. It's been this way. Technology had made it better for us to talk to ourselves today. Yeah. So we'll use that opportunity of technology. So, and our HOD, head of department then, uh, before I left, was Professor Ebun Clark. By the time we returned after youth service, she had been made the director for the Center for Cultural Studies. And she um, asked me to join her as her assistant, as a research attaché at the center. And I did. At that time, people like now Professor Segun Ojewi was director, now Professor Honwick, so Dr. Honwick that time was officer, a whole lot of, sorry, no, not of officer, but they were signing, not of officer. There's, I'm trying to remember names, but the important thing is I ended up at the Center for Cultural Studies, and some of the people there then, my friend, good friend now, who's also a professor, Tunji Sotimere, the whole idea of using culture as a vehicle for anything really, unity, development, preservation, was very, very upfront in the programs of the Center for Cultural Studies, going by the productions that they had. If you read, I think two of my books I narrated there, we are rehearsing for anniversary of the University of Lagos in a play written by Professor Wahonwick and Unilags or Bodile, turning a forest to a city, to a homestead. That was a literal translation of that, the title of that production, Unilag. So Bodile, I think was for was it 20th or 50th? Well, it was for the anniversary, that time period. This was 1986. But because I was so interested in writing, I was so fired up to write, and I didn't want any paid employment or I want to be a reporter. I needed to look for where I could freelance. Eventually, I ended up at a newspaper then called the Lagos News. And I was so kind. I mean, I was so fortunate to meet two very people who, I mean, played very different but positive roles in my journey in journalism. The editor of the newspaper at that time, Chief Bayo Shieni, and a man I will never forget. He was the governor of Lagos State while I was in secondary school until that coup of 1983 toppled them. Alhaji Latif Jakonde. He was the owner of Lagos News. He was New York John West. He was one that finally really encouraged me to go to the Nigerian Institute of Journalism. He took us, I think, once or twice on the ethics of journalism, but didn't stop, encouraging us. So at the Lagos News, you might be wondering how does it, all this tie up into anything? I'm talking Nigeria happening to me, happening for me, happening to me. Happening for me, yeah, I ended up at Lagos News. That's Nigeria happening to me. Meeting Jakonde, Alhaji Latif Jakonde, Baba Kekere, you know. Yeah, was Nigeria happening for me. You meet people who meant well for that country. People who were selfless in their service, in everything they were doing, till he died. I learned from them. There was, which is where the link to all of this is. At that time, there was a man, Chief Fred Agbeyebe, decided to use drama. He was a lawyer. He's a lawyer. He was a lawyer. I'm sorry. I tried. I'm not even. I'm not. I apologize for that. I should be telling you his status right now. As a lawyer, but he used drama to profile some of our national issues that time. He created what was called the Ajo Festival. Ajo Fest. That's, headlines that shut out people like RMD, Richard Mfredami, Joe, Ben Tomolojo, a whole lot of we missed a chance. Nigeria missed a chance. But Chief Fred Agbeyebe and there were others, but I'm picking these two out for the specific reasons I'm mentioning here. Chief Fred Agbeyebe and Ken Saro-Wiwa were upfront about talking about our national issues using drama. Fred Agbeyebe was stopped. They produced a play then called Budiso. Budiso. Well, how did that link to me? Yes, remember, as a freelance writer with Lagos News, so my job was to cover that festival. And those were the first pieces I wrote for Lagos News, covering Ajo Festival. It's through that process that I met a few other people and then decided to found Just It magazine. And then the rest, they say, is history. Even while I was still a student at Nigerian Institute of Journalism, I had started my magazine while a student, doing my postgraduate program in journalism, sorry. Fred Agbeyebe was stopped. Ajo Festival was stopped. See, people, Budiso was alleged to be an acronym for Buhari Sowemimo, no, Budi, okay, Buhari Idi Agbon and Sowemimo, Budiso. Richard Mofedamijo played a front row, and my classmate, my friend, during our secondary school years, Antalanio, the head boy, I've mentioned in one of the episodes of this podcast, played very prominent roles in Budiso. And the security agencies were, like I've said in a couple of my books, we have not learned how to laugh at ourselves. And we're talking about drama here, yes. We've not learned how to laugh at ourselves, laugh at our stupidities, and say, you. No, we've not learned. Somebody is pointing out somebody. The only person that probably tolerated, is still tolerating all of that was Obasanjo. People made fun of him, people use him for sketches. Well, maybe I'll add Jonathan, President Goodluck Jonathan, but the rest, you make a mention. I mentioned that I wrote pantomime in the last episode. at the University of Lagos, profiling the same thing Budiso, came out to profile in 86. I wrote Fragile Fury, profiling the trial of civilians, whether politicians or journalists, or in military tribunals in 1984, and presented that at the Student Union Week at the main auditorium of the University of Lagos for that Student Union Week for that year. Ken Saro-Wiwa, unfortunately, sadly, regrettably, got killed. They say treason. Treason for, in my Biafra story, 15 years ago, I wrote that book. One of the issues I raised there is, you see, until everybody who was associated with getting that war started, executing it and sustaining it, are held accountable, taken to The Hague for war crimes and crimes against humanity, nothing will change in Nigeria. This has nothing to do with Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu. It has to do with humanity, rights of individuals. Because the atrocities that started Biafra hasn't stopped. Kesaruwa got executed. They say treason for saying stop degrading and not cleaning up your mess in the Niger Delta. People live there. You take, you don't put back. You say you put back some of your gatemen, collect what should go to cleaning up, what should go to development of the area. And the people revolted. The people stood up. He used drama. He used activism for this. He didn't carry guns. I don't think so. I don't know read. Agbe didn't carry no gun. He only just told us stories about ourselves on stage. And they went after him, stopped that. Why am I saying we missed a chance? Nollywood came to life several years later. That was the big opportunity that was missed about getting Nigeria started formally. They had other Nigerians who were trying different things on their own, Babasala, Chifogunde. There were so many others. But we're talking, those other ones were cautious. If you like, they were sectional in certain ways. But these two that are mentioned here talked about Nigeria's issues as a nation, as a people, using specific issue areas to draw attention to say things got to be better than this. Both of them were stopped. One was killed, the other one was stopped. 1986. And then we're still in the era of General Babangida. So I'm not surprised that he was the one that eventually founded or encouraged the founding of, or facilitated the founding of the National Troupe of Nigeria. There are many things you can point to him and say he didn't do this right, he didn't do that right. There are also things, at least they put them, it's just like Nigerians continuing to talk about colonialists and the creation of Nigeria. When are you going to get off that horse? They are gone. If they have any inroads in Nigeria today, guess who has given them or who is giving that? You. They're still using some of you. Okay. So the National Troop of Nigeria controversies a whole lot. Who was the leader? The leader should come from this. I didn't want to go, and I told my production team, my research team, let's not go into all of those leadership tussles. But it's the same thing. It was the same leadership tussle that um, that are affecting Nigeria from moving forward. But the important thing is that that institution is there, that group is there, that platform is there. For us to be able to laugh at ourselves, laugh with ourselves, clap with ourselves, learn our dances, different dances from the one we used to, the one we know. You see something, say, wow, is this real? Yeah, it is real. Then mutually respect ourselves, our culture, our tradition, so that we get to begin to learn how to respect ourselves, appreciate ourselves, as in Nigerians appreciate Nigerians, and appreciate Nigeria and stop complaining about who created what. The people who created what are gone, they are dead. When I say gone, they're not even anywhere around planet Earth. So if you are continuing their legacies, guess who the problem is, or who is the problem? You. Okay. So I'm going to pause here, and we'll play the video we have created for today's program. And when we return, we will, well, take a few other issue areas, look at a few other issue areas, and then we'll take responses and questions from the community members. There's some things here already. So we're going to pause now to play our video, maybe today, a call for the people. Then I'll talk about the gentleman who we focused on today as we return. Thank you. Don't go away.
Nostalgiamedia's The Quest for One Nigeria series is designed to profile the deliberate steps taken after the Nigerian Civil War, the Biafra War, to heal a broken nation and engender the blending and unification of Nigeria and Nigerians, as one nation, one people. The Nigerian federal military government of the period following the Biafra War, led by General Yakubu Gowon, and subsequent military administrations introduced and expanded institutions, platforms, and processes designed to encourage and strengthen national unity. These initiatives include the National Youth Service Corps Program, the federal government colleges, the defunct Federal Schools of Arts and Science, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAM, the federal universities, the National Troupe of Nigeria, the Federal Character Commission. The story of the National Troupe of Nigeria begins in 1991, when it was established during the military government of General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. Conceived as the nation's flagship performing arts institution, it is meant to gather the threads of Nigeria's cultural diversity into one broad fabric. Through drama, music, and dance, the troupe was charged with projecting both at home and abroad, the richness of Nigeria's traditions, while also cultivating a sense of unity among a people deeply scarred by years of division and the memories of the Civil War. Unlike educational institutions or examinations boards that were set to titivate and measure intellect, the National Troupe of Nigeria was envisioned as a stage for the soul, a space where Nigerians could present, display and watch their shared history unfold, as well as rediscover and picture themselves in the stories of others. By celebrating festivals, folklores, and communal rituals on a national stage, the government sought to heal mistrust, create and strengthen a mutual identity. But as with many state institutions, lofty dreams often collide with reality. Years of underfunding, shifting policies, and lack of consistent leadership have left the troupe struggling to command the presence and impact once imagined for it, so much so that most of the younger Nigerian generation have no idea the institution exists. Still, culture has always found ways to speak, even when institutions falter. That is why the voices of Nigerian creatives like King Sunny Ade's remain essential. Born Sunday Adeniyi Adejayi in 1946, he is from Ondo, present-day Ondo State, southwest Nigeria. He rose from a royal family background to become the world-famous king of Juju music. Since the 1960s, his career has shown the power of music, just like those of diplomacy, storytelling, and unity, taking Yoruba rhythms to global stages and earning 2 Grammy nominations along the way. Among his many works, the song Nigeria Et Bobo Wani, Nigeria is for Us All, stands out as a cultural anthem. It does more than entertain, it proclaims a truth. The song insists that the land belongs not to one tribe, not to one class, not to one faith, but to all Nigerians. In its refrain lies both an invitation and a warning. If Nigeria is truly ours together, then unity, fairness, and justice cannot remain optional.
Nigeria yìí ti gbogbo wa ni, kó má gbọ́dọ̀ bàjẹ́, torí kò sí ibòmíràn tí a lè lọ, àjò lè dàbí ilé.
Placed alongside the National Troupe's mandate, King Sunny Ade's anthem feels like a parallel performance. Where the troupe was designed to dramatize Nigeria's plurality on stage, the song vocalizes that same plurality through music. Both remind Nigerians and humanity that culture is not for decoration but a vessel for moral direction. The question, however, remains whether Nigeria, as a nation, is willing to let these morals guide Nigeria and Nigerians toward genuine unity, or whether, as the title of this episode suggests, Nigeria and Nigerians are still caught in the drama of it all. The quest for one Nigeria is not simply a historical project but an ongoing call to reflection, action targeted at rejecting mediocrity, oppression, corruption regarding the management of Nigeria's commonwealth, and any sorts of inequities and marginalization. The National Troupe of Nigeria can either remain a struggling institution or rise again as a beacon of cultural identity. King Sunny Ade's anthem reminds Nigeria and Nigerians of what is at stake. Nigeria is for all Nigerians, or it risks being for none, a forlorn dream. May Nigeria happen for all Nigerians and friends of Nigeria.
Guys for being here with us still, and thank you for watching the video. Make sense to you? Tell us about it in the comment section. Yes, section, sorry. Okay, and remember again, please do kindly subscribe, because you can only make comments on this program if you subscribe to the program. Okay, if you subscribe, then you can sorry, these guys keep changing my English to some other languages and closed caption keeps coming up in some language I don't understand. Anyways, please subscribe, please follow us, support us on this program, share the video, even after the stream, share the video. Okay, we Nigerians cannot continue. How long shall they kill our prophets? Huh? Yes, you can't continue to kill your prophets. You have nowhere you're going. You find people who have ideas. Acknowledge them. Celebrate them. You find yourself, because that's the issue here. You got there somehow. Yeah, you cheated, you shot your way there. Do things that will benefit everybody else, not you alone and your friends and your clique. Go and go through the history of whatever coups that happened in Nigeria. He's my friend. It's not even his from my place. This is my friend. You see, that's how they build that clique that you now call the cabal. It's my friend. They work against their people, even if you are to break things down to tribes and all of that. No, it's not tribe. Don't make any mistake about it. The National Troupe of Nigeria was designed, established to help us talk about, when I say us, Nigerians, talk about Nigeria, talk about Nigerians. If there were or there are challenges about individual production houses or production groups coming up with productions that about Nigerian issues, you don't like it, then you get the National Troupe to produce, to have productions that talk about Nigerian issues, even if it's in your doctored area. Don't worry, they'll present it. The rest of us will see it. Then we'll make our comment, right? We'll see it. Or we see such productions. So we need to put the Nigerian troupe back, the National Troupe of Nigeria, back to fulfilling. Huh? Okay, Mr. President, we're going to produce a play. We're going to be laughing. We're going to do a production that will, well, go ahead. Even if it's controlled. So Nigerians can see, the world can see that aspect that you actually seen what some will say I wasn't aware. Somebody till he died, I wasn't aware. The National Troupe could make the people in leadership to be aware of things they say they are not aware of. Because the people who work there, the creatives who are there as dancers, as poets, as script writers, would write scripts to mirror society. And then you will see, you will be there, even if you're during the command performance, you're going to call the head of state. When last did your head of state sit to watch any play, drama? Which one? When last? The person who created the National Troupe of Nigeria was good at that. And you call him Maradona. You called him, well, at least he showed interest. And he put some things in place. And he encouraged the startup. Even when it's just like I said, if you don't want people to do production, okay, don't do our job. Okay, no, we'll do something else. They created the National Troupe. Can you see the link? They did something. Now, the person who established that or who facilitated the establishment of that, is it the script? Would it be the script writer? Would it be the dancers? Would be, you guys are in, it's like I'm here. It's like I'm on this program. There are a million things I could write about, I could be talking about. I could tell you, I could come here every week to show you how to make different types of coffee. Coffee, yes. I could come here every week to talk about vain things. Maybe you'll be more interested. Maybe you will follow. Maybe you will subscribe. But we're talking about serious issues here. Issues you are complaining about. issues some of you are afraid to talk about. Issues that have been being talked about by people like King Sunny Ade. When that song was released, it was like, oh, it was a national project. Well, even if anybody paid him to write the song and produce it, well, but the important thing is all that he said there. Please, if you do not understand Yoruba, the translation is there online, but let me hey, Big L14, thank you so much for joining on TikTok. Thank you so much. Unemployed King, get employed, please. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that offline. You have to get employed. Okay, my friend. Hey, how you doing? Yes, on TikTok. Okay. They've created the platform. What you do with the platform, it's up to you. How many years down the line? 1990 what? 1 to now is how many years? They created Nigeria. They are dead. You keep going back to the problem of Nigeria is from the amalgamation 2014. Where are they? They've used you to replace themselves. Whose fault? Your fault. When are your leaders going to become patriotic? When are they going to really, really think Nigeria? Think development of Nigeria instead of thinking about creating their own dynasties. That's what's still going on, even till today. Like I said, that's not our show for today. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. You can bet on that. We'll get to that. Hi guys. Hi guys. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, you're right about that. Okay. You're here. I let you in. You're in. Okay, let me invite you in. Come in, yeah. All right. Sure. On TikTok, that is. Okay. So you have a platform that has been created for you to air your grievances. It's up to your script writers. It's up to your directors. It's up to your producers. You can still massage people's ego, but still say the truth about what is current situation. When I was growing up, the National Arts Theatre in Egomu, Lagos, was a place to behold. Everybody wanted to go there. What's happening there now? Okay. When you bring people from different backgrounds together, one way or the other, you see, which is why I'm saying here, what I said earlier here, the only Nigerian leaders or would-be leaders who could really, outside of maybe Awo, maybe Azikiwe, maybe the Shadwana himself, it's just that people were misled sometimes by themselves. Yes, people were misled sometimes by themselves, as in their egos and selfish motives. Outside of those, there are the people who stood their grounds that Nigeria has to think regional, has to think in compartments. They didn't really make efforts about growing Nigeria as a unit. No, they didn't. We'll get there. It's not on this program, okay? We'll come to the issue of the federal character, and then we'll be able to talk more about that. But those majors, they saw the things. Look, listen, this is not the episode for that, but think about it. What has changed? What has changed from the reasons they gave for why they did what they did in 1966, January, not July. And this is not the program, the episode for that. So we'll get back to it. The National Troupe has a key role, a major role to play in the issue of Nigeria's both development and unity. Yeah. And for the people in government who are afraid people are making jet, because they will, technology has even made it easier. Anybody can produce anything and put online. Yeah. But you can use your national troupe to present your own narrative. Like I said, present anything, we're still here, we'll sit and analyze it. Yeah, sure. Okay. So we're going to take a look at some of the contribution from community members here. This one says, should the national troupe be abolished and its resources redirect to more pressing social issues? Like where? Should it be abolished? No. Should they be revamped? Yes. That's what we're talking about. That's why we brought it up. The reasons for which it was created are still sure. There are much. Those reasons are more present today. Nigeria is more divided right now than at any other time in history. In case you've not noticed that. Before, it was still possible for one group to connive with the other and then push the other one out. Right now, nobody trusts anybody. Right now, it's I, me, and myself. It's my turn. Like I said, this is not the program for that. We'll get there. Okay? So it should not. And what are the other social issue areas? From laughing at yourselves, your stupidity, celebrating your successes, and all of that. All of those could happen through drama. Just imagine what happened when those ladies won that championship in Morocco, the Super Falcon. Just imagine how people felt. Just imagine what happened a few days ago when Tobi Amusan, even yes, it's a silver, but it's a diamond silver. Both from a personal perspective and a national perspective, that medal is more than a silver. Just imagine how Nigerians felt. Or flip the coin. Imagine how Nigerians feel when somebody beats up the Super Eagles. Eh? Yeah. When they didn't they didn't win the Nations Cup. Imagine how you felt as Nigerians. That's sports. Arts, the national troupe is in a position to bring smiles to the faces of Nigerians, especially at times like this. The national troupe is in a position to draw attention to critical national issue areas through drama, through dances. Yes. Okay. Isn't the national troops' reliance on nostalgia for a bygone era limiting? Shouldn't it instead focus on contemporary issues? It's purely in the hands of those who, there's nothing wrong with being nostalgic. All the stories I'm telling you here are things that happened to me, happened around me 40 years ago plus. When I come to tell my Biafra story, that war ended, in quotes, ended 50 years ago. I experienced it as a 7-year-old till I was 11. I'm still experiencing it today. I'm 66. Okay? So it's all in the hands of the crop of people who run the national. I started this stream today by talking about Uncle Fred Agbegbe. Yeah, we used to call him Uncle Fred. Uncle Fred Agbegbe, Chief Fred Agbegbe. I talked about Ken Saruwa. I mentioned people like Moses Olaya Basala. I mentioned people like Chief Hubert Okunde. I didn't go deep into them. I talked about Uncle Fred, Chief Fred Agbegbe, and Ken Saruwa because they were more on focus on national issues, really. The other ones were a little bit more like sectional, and I have never been interested in anything sectional as far as when it comes to the issues of Nigeria. I'm not interested in tribe, I'm not interested in religion, I'm blind to all of those. Let's focus on things that then you go back and pray your prayer, go back and dance your dance. Yeah. Okay. So it's all up to the people running the national troupe. Okay, it depends on them to. People are still watching movies that were produced in things. Is there are still, when you hear Wild Wild West in Hollywood, when did Wild West? It's still not nostalgic, but they still use it to picture what happened at those times. You look at how people took over other people's land, and today they are calling other people immigrants. Yeah? Isn't human being? Aren't human beings a special kind of breed? You look at those who have messed up Nigeria, coming to preach to you about rights, unity, marginalization. Come to those. Do you think intertribal marriages in Nigeria could help break down stereotypes and promote national unity? It creates a more complex situation. Not that it promotes it, it creates a more complex situation. Because again, remember I said earlier on, the people who are behind everything evil happening in Nigeria they are not tribe, they're from different groups, but they click. It's the interest about Nigeria's resources that brought them, keep them together. It's not your tribe. So the issue of intertribal marriage it creates a whole lot of, some of them go and check, some of them over time, they give their daughters and sons to marry. Check out who they give their sons and daughters to marry. Is you and I, the average guy on the street that say, well, I like you, it's not about where you come from. But behind, they'll be telling you, are you mad? Are you normal? Don't you see anybody from where you come from? It should promote, this community member. It should promote national unity. No. Even at the individual family level, even at the micro family level, you see people discriminating against people who, let's say within the Yoruba environment, now somebody goes to marry somebody from the East, from the Igbo. Where am I going to? Why am I all over the place? Me, my mother was Igbo. There's no unity, nothing had engendered in my family. It hasn't. Not to talk about nationally. A lot of my friends, for them, you could say they are just joking on there. No, they are not joking. I'm Igbo, meaning this Igbo person. I am an Ekiti prince. No jokes. But I'm not even care about that. It's not even about a case of I'm Yoruba. I've never been interested in, it's because of, I'm interested in equity, an egalitarian society where everybody, once you are qualified, you must be qualified for, that's the point, merit. My thing is merit. Then there are others who, no matter what they do, seriously, life is like that. They create opportunity also for them to Look at our fingers. They're not equal. So intertribal marriages are not, it's supposed to, but it's instead it's created another layer of complication around relationship issues in Nigeria. That distrust is still there into the family unit. Not to talk about the national level. I'm living it, so I know. Okay? If you read my book, I had a new book that was released there earlier on this year. It's a book I wrote about my friend, my brother, Majek Fashek. It was a promise I made him before he died. He requested I write about him should he die before me. And he died before me. And I wrote that book and I titled it Promise Kept, my friend Majek Fashek and I. Everything I'm saying about this issue of tribe now, marriage now, and kinship and all of that, I narrated it that that's part of what killed him. Forget anybody talking about drugs and not. That's part of its family. It is. You are not here. You're, in case you. I'm married. Majak was a creative, right? Cool. Majak's mother was Benin. His father was Yoruba. Hmm? Complications, intertribal marriages. So I don't know which one. I wouldn't tell you. I wouldn't say don't intermarry or like we're talking about national unity. Get in relationship with people because of the individuals. Do things for the sake of yourselves and take it from there. Don't look at people on the basis of where they come, which is where the issue of the national troop becomes important. You can play act those scenarios. That's why it's drama. That's why it's dance. That's why it's poetry. That's why it's music. Okay? You can play act all of those things. This is how it should be. But this is what we are saying. Should it be like this? Get people to start thinking, wow, they have a point. Yeah, sure. Hmm? What do you make of the delay in the opening of the National Theatre in Lagos? I didn't even know that it was closed. It was the main place for all of us as we were growing up, even for national events. It's such a unique symbol, an iconic symbol of something about Nigeria. Okay? And that, of course, was the home of the National Troupe, I think. I think that was their home. So if we had been closed, well, bad idea. It should be reopened and made. Look, Nollywood is flourishing on individual basis, on the sweat and grit of individual Nigerians. You can say, okay, both Bollywood and Hollywood is it national? They are national. No. But there are specific structures in play, that specific input from the government, there are grants, there are things for people to get to produce things. Which Nigeria has any grant to produce anything? Okay. I'm working on producing a documentary on my Biafra story. Okay. The budget is huge. I don't have that money. But it's a project I want to do and a project I will do. Because we have to, you see, most of 90-something% of all the people who have been talking about that war are soldiers. They are gloating all over the place about their exploits, about how they kill people and all. What about the people the ordinary people like myself? That's why I wrote that 15 years ago. And that's why I updated it and reissued it this year. And that's why I'm working on doing that documentary on it. Not because I'm clapping any group for secession or no. My belief is always that Nigeria is better as an entity, as a group, as a whole. That has always been my position. But unfortunately, who are those who don't think that that should make sense. The same people who are supposed to keep Nigeria together. The political class. Yeah, they are the ones. Right now, they're on the march again. But that's not our show today, okay? So the national theater should be reopened. It can't be for lack of resource. It can't. What's wrong with everybody? Do you believe a military government similar to the ones before that established many of these institutions is what Nigeria needs? Nigeria needs leaders that are patriotic. First, before patriotic, leaders that have something to offer. Not leaders who feel it's their turn. And don't think I'm talking about any particular person right now when I say it's your turn. Somebody is known to have popularized the Emilio thing, but no, he didn't start it. Maybe he's just maybe the last person on that queue of Emilio. We'll come to that. There have been many. We'll come to that in this program. Yes, we have. Oh, don't worry, we are loaded. Say a prayer, guys. May Nigeria never happen to you. We are loaded. I have spent more than 3/4 of my 66 years on earth on the front line for what's right, getting things done to benefit everybody. I'm not stopped, I won't stop. Okay? So it's not about me. It's about humanity. And then Nigeria. Will you tell us who the man in the picture is? I think you saw his name there. His name is Dr. Olusegun Obuyi. I think right now he is the permanent secretary at the Ministry of Health in Lagos State, Southwest Nigeria. Like I said, this episode is not about him, but remember his name, remember that picture. Okay? We'll come to that. Remember Mrs. Abegunde, pray for people like that. Nigeria needs more of people, like that. And so, friends, followers, community, it's been another interesting episode of Say a Prayer, guys. May Nigeria never happen to you. Please remember to subscribe if you've not subscribed already. If you have already, thank you so very much. Please share this video to your friends, those who are concerned about issues, Nigerians, for good, not for negativities. Okay, and then engage, continue, send messages. If there's anything you don't agree with, feel free to say so. Send me a mail, send it across. Okay, and it's still the same time next week, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, US and Canada, 1 p.m. West African time, including Nigeria. This is still Nostalgiamedia, and it is that same program, Say Prayer, guys. May Nigeria never happen to you. But on this program, our prayer will continue to be, has been and will continue to be, may Nigeria happen for all Nigerians and friends of Nigeria. So with that, I say bye-bye. I see you at the next one.